Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on how to use the Gasmet DX4040 FTIR. For this video we will be performing the zero background. Essentially it's the same thing in Gasmet terminology, so we'll do that with nitrogen. We've got a bottle of nitrogen here that we purchased. This is high purity nitrogen, 99.999%. They say you can use zero air or instrument air as well, although I would recommend that you use nitrogen for this because that is the gold standard. So we'll get a bottle of nitrogen. This regulator is 2 liters per minute. Actually, this one in particular is 1 liter per minute because that's what I was sent with the rental equipment, but 2 liters is ideal. It can go to 3. I have been told 6 is too high, so better lower than higher. We'll also want to have our sampling probe ready, although we won't use it for the zero. Our Gasmet itself is in Bluetooth mode on the left, so that's ready to go. You don't need the power cable for this, although I recommend that you use it because then you're not burning battery to do the zero. Come over to your PDA and go ahead and start CalcMet Lite. You do need to use a stylus for that. The fingertip doesn't work on this particular brand, so I recommend that you have one. That's a replacement that was sent with the rental. Didn't actually come with one on the PDA. CalcMet will now be spend a few minutes detecting the analyzer. They'll connect via Bluetooth. It only takes a couple of seconds. Our very next step is going to be just check a couple of things to make sure that we're ready to go. We'll go over to settings and then save paths. I showed you how to set this in a previous video, but you'll want to make sure that essentially you browsed yourself into an external storage and then an intelligible name so that you can find your results. So you'll set the browse and then this results file name. If that's okay, make sure you're on auto-saving. All, as text file is fine, but you want to make sure you save that. If you don't, otherwise you might not save everything. The very next thing you're going to want to do is go into measuring. Make sure your activate pump during continuous measurement is off. If you don't do that, then you might have a problem later on. So go ahead and hit OK. Then we'll go and go to measure and then hardware status. Here's where we can determine the health of the instrument. Essentially, there should be no red on this screen. This instrument's broken. That's why we've got a weird number for interferometer height. The other thing you're really looking for is detector temp. This one hasn't been running for long enough, and it's also got a little bit of physical damage. So the detector temp should not be red. It can run negative 30 to positive 30 degrees Celsius. Perfectly fine, but if there's any red here, we've got a problem, and you're probably going to want to call that into your rental agency. We rented this one from Premier Safety, previously Arcus Hasco, and then they will know how to troubleshoot it. They've all been trained. So we determined that this one is not functional for a variety of reasons, but anyway, this should be not red. If you're in a good position there, your very next step is to go ahead and do a physical zero. In order to do that, you'll come up here to the rotary valve and open that. There's not much pressure on that. It shouldn't give you much resistance. Go ahead and connect your nitrogen zero air to the nitrogen bottle to the zero gas port. It's the bottom left over here. It may be the top right to you. And then you can open your nitrogen, make sure that's ready to go, and that it is flowing. So you won't be able to hear anything, unlike with some calibration gas processes. So that's flowing. The next thing we'll do is take our stylus, go over here and hit the zero button. It will give us a confirmation dialog. Span N2. We want to make sure we've got nitrogen. 2 liters per minute. Again, 1 has been told. I've been told is okay. 6 is too high. 3 probably okay as well. Go ahead and hit OK. Now this is going to take about 5 minutes to complete. It'll say flushing, and then it'll say measuring while this blue bar builds. What it's doing here is first ensuring that the cell is full of nothing but nitrogen, and then it's determining, it's reading the spectra on the nitrogen to make sure that it gets nothing. And we will talk a little bit more about, in the next video, about how to read that zero spectra and make sure it's acceptable. So that'll take a few seconds. You can cut to the next video now.